Authentic is unabashedly oneself, one could say.
Be raw doggy.
Ooh, yeah. All right. Why for Bust? Episode 12. We're back. And it's part 2 of what could be, without me embellishing at all, the best date story I've ever heard. And I've heard a lot of date stories. If you are new here, this is Why for Bust. We're helping Joel find his wife. And he is so courageous by being a case study of what it's like to date in the modern world. We started out with Hinge primarily, but he's had a lot of different encounters in a lot of different environments. And he is really living the principles that are in my book, which is The Dating Edge. And we wanted to do a case study for you guys because we realize dating can seem soul crushing. It can seem like you're not going to find the right person. And it's like, I might as well be alone. But we're here to tell you that even just the journey of finding the right person is one of the best avenues for personal development and fulfillment. And then you get to become the man that will magnetize, attract, and secure that woman that you've always been looking for. If you're a woman, it's really good to know this perspective because it helps you understand what men are going through and helps you weed out the right men to choose to let to court you. So, Why for Bust episode 12. By the way, last episode was part 1 of this story. If you haven't watched it, I was on the edge of my seat literally the whole time. Go back and watch it. If you're here for round 2, I can't wait to get into it. So just in case there was some time between when people watched last episode, we ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger where you had this amazing multi-part first date, totally unplanned. And this was with Madison. And then you guys ended the date that night. And we know that something happened in Denver after that, but we don't know what. So take it away.
Yeah. So, to catch everybody up, incredible date that I had with Madison. Tons of fun, tons of plot twists and turns. Again, if you haven't watched episode 11, you're going to want to watch it. And after that, Madison ended up traveling to Denver. She has some businesses in Denver that she had to go take care of. I got right back. I had a bunch of different work stuff for my business, and we really weren't able to talk to each other a ton. And she was going out to Denver, then she was flying out to the East Coast for a family wedding. So now all of a sudden, we had this magical, incredible, wonderful date, and we can't see each other. And
are you talking a lot during this time, or is you both so busy you kind of can't even communicate?
Every other day, maybe a couple text messages here and there.
So enough to let her know hey, I'm still interested. I'm still here. I'm going to communicate to you. I just don't have the capacity to have full-fledged conversations.
100%.
Cool.
So for the both of us, we had such a great time, and we secured that of just saying hey, I'd really like to be able to go on a second date. And so I secured that at the end of the night with the with the full erection that was taking place at the time. There's a lot of things secured at that moment.
Yeah, and it's not as dirty as you think.
You
just have to go back.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you see it. And if you did see it, well, you know what I'm talking about.
I realize how contradictory that statement is. No one can say, full erection, but it's not as dirty as you think.
Totally, dude. It really isn't.
It's not.
And so by being able to establish hey, I'd like a second date, that really laid the groundwork of okay, cool. We're busy professionals. There's other things going on. I had my things. She had her things going on. So we had a couple different messages going back and forth. She sent me a couple different pictures of what's going on at the wedding. I sent her a couple pictures back of what I was doing. Just being able to keep that contact. I want to say we didn't even ever get on the phone. We didn't get on the phone. We didn't end up doing a FaceTime or anything. I really believe we were just hey, you were super busy, I was busy, and we were just messaging back and forth. But I didn't feel like she was pulling away. She didn't feel like I was pulling away. It was just very natural, very authentic, very easy.
And is that partially because you think you all set the expectation? You're hey,
100%.
I'm still going to keep in touch.
Yeah.
But this is the capacity that I have.
Yeah.
And therefore, because a lot of people, I hear stories all the time from men and women of how someone's not messaging me enough. And then they get kind of not even also anxious, but what's the word? Angsty about it. They kind of tit for tat mentality. I don't really believe in that. So I think what you did and what she did, first of all, but you have to be mature enough to know, hey, they have other things going on.
Right.
And what they are giving me that's within their capacity is an indication they're interested.
Right.
And you kind of have to be at peace with that.
Yeah.
You know? So I think, I just wanted to throw that out there because a lot of times you hear people, one side doesn't communicate enough, the other side resents it because it's early on. They're hesitant to say anything because they don't want to repel them. Just communicate and give the other person some grace. I feel like that goes pretty well most of the time, like it did here.
100%. And throughout this entire thing, one of the things that I've been working towards, and I do it within my business and with my team and with my closest friends, is radical transparency. And radical transparency is saying the exact thing that you are feeling. And being able to know that either this person's going to be able to hold that truth or not hold that truth. That doesn't give you reckless abandon to be a complete jerk. But it does give you the permission to be able to go, this is what I'm feeling, or this is what I want. And I've gotten very used to being able to say, I like you. I would like to pursue this more. And some people would be like, oh, that's pretty forward. Other people are like, no, that's very clear. Most important thing is being able to go, okay, this is where I'm at. And that's what we practice here a ton, and definitely encourage people to take that. Even if you're in a relationship right now, it's never too late to be able to start practicing radical transparency. I had a client last week who had been working with me for only 1 week, and he wrote down, we worked through this exercise of being able to get him to a statement of being able to talk to his wife about how he's feeling. And this is a guy who was a police chief and, 25 years in the force. And, you don't share your emotions. And he sat down with his wife and was totally radical transparent on his emotions and what he was feeling. And he was like, Joel, our marriage changed that week, completely shifted. Because not only was she taken aback, because she was like, I've never heard you talk this way, but it brought us closer together. And so for everybody out there, whether you're in a relationship or not, it's never too late to be radically transparent. Because I don't know about you, Chris, but I feel so much safer when I know someone's truth than me being up in my head trying to figure out, is that what they really meant? Or did they were trying to say something different?
There's just too much room for interpretation.
Too much.
And that's how miscommunications happen. And it's almost never intentional.
Right.
And the through line through my whole book, as well as in the early episodes when we were setting up your Hinge profile, is not only is radical transparency going to create a deeper connection, it's going to differentiate you, because we're in a world where people fake it till they make it and over manicure things. But if you can just dig deep and have the courage to be radically transparent, it doesn't matter what phase of a relationship or the dating world or what arena of life. It's just one of those axiomatic truths that I love so much. So I'm glad that because it takes two parties sometimes. Like the man leads and the women meets you there typically. And it seems like she's been super cool and mature at this point, because she understands where you're at and she appreciates that you're putting forth the effort. Plus, in person, this is the thing that I say a lot, and we might have talked about it before, leave the magic for in person. The communication is just to nurture that tether to make sure it doesn't snap. But you don't need to do everything over text.
Magical. Or, I got to have that one sentence.
Just stay in touch. It's not about breadcrumbing someone. It's about let me hold this connection. I don't need to pull you all the way. And in person, I'm going to be present.
That's right.
I'll be intentional planning the date. And that's where we let the magic unfold organically versus forcing and there's nothing wrong with having phone calls and things like that. But messaging for the sake of messaging, I don't think goes well for anybody.
No.
So you didn't do that.
I didn't do that. And to remind everybody too, Madison was very transparent with me, when I got back from the rodeo, and she was like, no, I'm good.
That's right.
And she was just like, nope. And that's because she made the decision of being able to go, I only talked to 2 guys at a time. You fell off the radar. I didn't hear from you. So I was already talking to some other men. Great. Awesome. That was the beauty of what I really, really appreciated about Madison. So we established these, again, radical transparency. And so both of us felt really, really safe. And the following week, she was on the East Coast doing a wedding. We were keeping in touch. And I was going to be traveling out to Southern California to see my buddy Marcus and his family. And I had a trip back to Austin the following Sunday. So I was flying in Thursday, was going to be with Marcus and his family until Sunday morning and then fly back to Austin.
Yeah.
Well, I look into my week for the next week, and it was actually pretty light in the evening. So the Sunday that I was going to get back, the Monday and Tuesday actually was really light. And so I was like, oh, okay, like this is really light. So then I started looking at it and going, well, why don't I just fly to Denver? Like, I'm coming from the West Coast anyways. There's going to be a direct flight. So I ended up starting changing plans, and I asked her, like, hey, what do you think about me just coming to Denver? Because she was going to go back to Denver to open up one of her businesses. It was the opening day of her business. And I was like, well, why don't I just come to Denver? And she was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. So I ended up getting on the call with Southwest and changed all my plans. I had to cancel this and move this around and, you know, figure out how to get the rental car and, you know, stay at the Catbird in Denver, which is an interesting hotel name.
Yeah.
It's in the Arts District, which then now makes sense to me because I didn't know. I haven't been to Denver in a while. But they got the Arts District, and there's a bunch of rhinos everywhere, which is, again, something about this area of Denver with the Art District. Anyways, I ended up booking on that, changing my flights. Now I'm pumped. Like, you gotta imagine, like, I love being completely like sporadic and spontaneous,
impetuous.
Yeah. And I'm like, tell me, and I think I've talked to you guys about this before, last time we were all together, where I'm like, if you guys were ready to jump on a plane right now and go somewhere, but you had to be in your exact clothes right now, I'd pay for everybody's flights and let's go. Like, let's get on a plane and let's just go.
You love that.
Love that stuff. So when it was like, yeah, let's go to Denver, I was like, dude, done.
And it mirrors the first date because the first date was completely unplanned and it was so good.
So good. The dopamine was so high.
So it's neat that you guys, it seems like she also appreciates that.
100%. Yeah, she was in on it as well. So book this flight, have a great time in Southern California, fly over to Denver and rent a car, come over to the Catbird. And, you know, she was asking me throughout the day, hey, you know, what are we doing? And, you know, what should the plans be? And this and that. And this was the first time that I kind of saw this side of her of like,
having her problems taking her hands off the wheel a little bit?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And I told her, I was like, listen, I got it. You just have to sit back. And she's like, oh, you're right. Like,
but as a mother of two and a business owner, she's probably used to having her hands on the wheel.
Yeah, and her past relationship with her ex-husband, you know, there was a lot of pieces and parts of that in which she felt really unsafe. And so when you feel unsafe, and regardless, man or woman, you want to start gripping onto things really hard. And so I just told her, I said, hey, listen, I got it. You just get to enjoy tonight. And there was, and this was over text message. She was like, thank you for telling me that. Like, I know you got it. I'll let you take it.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, awesome. Now, mind you, at that time, I didn't really have anything planned yet.
I mean, you probably had time.
I did have some time. Have some time. And
don't worry, I planned nothing.
But
I might plan something.
Yeah. Well, at that time, right, I have a lot of different friends that are in that area, different clients, different friends. And so I was reaching out to them to be able to go. And I always am about, like, you know, leverage my resources.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not going to try to just Google this. I'm going to talk to the people who live there and say, hey, this is the situation. This is the scenario. I'm coming in. I'm taking a girl on a date. Tell me what to do. And they knew me. So they're like, oh, dude, here's what you're going to do. So somebody suggested this really nice sushi place, which is somewhere around in the Arts District. And then somebody else suggested the Grizzly Rose. If you're from Denver, you know what the Grizzly Rose is. It's a dance hall. It's one of the best dance halls I've been to. Massive, huge dance hall, big old stage where bands get up there and play. And I was like, yes, this is what we're doing. So I get to the Catbird, and, you know, I check in. We haven't seen each other yet. And I shoot her a message and I said, hey, let's meet at the rooftop bar. And she's like, that's a great idea. And so I head up to the rooftop bar, and I'm kind of walking around, and it's kind of like a scene from a movie. Like I'm kind of walking this way and I turn around and there's just this long kind of corridor at the top of the roof. And I turn and I lock eyes and she's way over there and she gives me this big old smile, right? And I give this big old smile and we come walking up to each other and get into a, you know, big old embraced hug. And it was just a really cool moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, just playing off this like sporadic, spontaneous energy and feeling. And we end up sitting down and chatting. We don't have any drinks at that time. And I go, okay, well, here are the plans for tonight. Tell her plans. This is what time we're going to leave. Let me know when you're ready. So we go downstairs. We get ready. We come out and it's really not too far of a walk. So I'm like, well, why don't we walk? So we start walking. As soon as we start walking, she reaches down, she grabs my hand, and now we're walking, holding hands. It just feels really, really great. And as we're walking, we get to a certain part, we have to go over to the railroad tracks, and we're going over this overpass, and all of a sudden it just starts dumping rain. And I'm like, okay. So now here we are in this like overpass that has like pigeon shit and like raining and nobody else around and trains running underneath us, where we're having this like a really, really like, you know, fun moment of just like, well, there's not much we can do here.
Yeah. So you're stuck under the underpass waiting for the rain to let up.
We're just letting for the rain.
It's kind of romantic, minus the pigeon shit.
Yeah, minus the pigeon shit. Yeah. And yeah, just keeping my head on a swivel because it was kind of a sketchy area of town.
Yeah.
But we're sitting there and we're chit chatting and we're starting to talk a little bit about life and about, you know, what we want to do with our lives and how much money is enough money and what would life look like making this money and that money, having these kids, live in this area. And it starts lightening up just enough that I go, you know what, why don't I order an Uber? So per usual, Uber Premier. We get the
number of times you heard that in this show. I love it.
We get the black Escalade that comes rolling up, right? And picks us up, takes us around the corner. Again, no reservations at like the hottest sushi place in Denver. Come rolling up and I go, any chance that there's room for two? And she's like, well, she's like, actually, you know what? It does look like in about 15 minutes. And I'm like, perfect, we'll take it.
The hottest sushi place in Denver. Denver is also like a city is different than Austin.
Yes.
It has a lot of young couples and young families.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of date nights happening.
Big time.
In Austin, Texas, yeah, there are people going on dates, but there's a lot more single people per capita than Denver.
Totally.
And so the fact that, yeah, that's pretty rare.
Well, it was rare. And this is like a super like hot sushi place. And there's like in the middle of this kind of like warehouse kind of setting with like a bunch of other different like food halls or like,
oh, that's cool.
You know, shops that kind of surround it, but the sushi is like the main gig, right? Super tall, like warehouse ceilings. And so we're sitting there and we end up ordering some sake and we kind of sit down, we're chatting, we're kind of cuddling up on this chair together. And then we get called over and it was less than 15 minutes, like 5 minutes later, we hop over, guy comes over, he's trying to talk to me about, well, you know, here's what you can do. You can do the Tamagashi Sukasaki Wadabagi. Now, people who know sushi are going to know this, and I've 1,000% slaughtered it, but basically it's like the chefs choose it and it comes out paired and it just keeps coming until you say no more, right?
Oh, that's cool.
And so now we're getting like served like from all these different chefs that are behind giving us these like special this, and they come and they deliver it and the da-da and the ba-ba. And so we're like, dude, we're having a great time. Drinking some sake, having this incredible sushi. And then it's like, oh, it's time to go. It's time to go because we got dance lessons. Dance lessons at the Grizzly Rose. Okay. So we head on over to the Grizzly Rose to do some line dancing and get there. It's Teen Bopper night. Oh, that's right. It's Sunday, dude. At dance halls, that's usually Teen Bopper night. So it's all underage.
I was going to say, are there any adults? Or is it just you guys?
There were, but we were outnumbered massively. I'm talking like, I don't know if it was all the kids in Denver in general, But I mean, this is a massive dance hall, and this entire floor was filled.
It's like the Persians versus the Spartans, and you guys are the lonely
Dude,
Spartans.
we were, dude. Yeah. And we didn't have Hell's Gate, dude. We were just fully exposed. And so we're sitting there and we end up going through this whole dance thing, and she's dancing and we're dancing. She made the mistake of wearing a flowy dress. Now, if you're going to wear a flowy dress, you got to wear spandex, because if you're getting dipped and spinned and you're doing anything like that, your flowy dress is, going to show your cheeks. And so we end up doing this line dancing. Then we start doing some swing dancing, and the kids are just running us off the floor, man. There are just so many, and every single song they know the dance to. And I mean, you're talking about like an army of teen boppers, just two-step in and triple step in and box step in and swinging and dipping. And I'm just like, we did some, here moving and jiving, and then finally I was like, why don't we head home?
You read the room and you're like, we gotta move on.
And we had a really great time. So we end up heading back. And so again, a really great night, not as sporadic and crazy twists and turns, but
sounds like a solid date.
A super, super solid date. So we end up getting back. I take her to her room. She says goodnight. I say goodnight, head back. And it was like, okay, that's the right move. Even though we're in the same hotel, that's the right move, right? No need to push the boundaries here.
Yeah.
And then I get a text from her, and she goes,
"You up?" No way.
Yeah,
that was exactly
it. I really wanted to cuddle, and I was like, "Well, of course I want to cuddle too." And yet I know like the boundaries of like, we're talking late at night, we're talking hotel room, we're talking, we've already done swing dance and had this great time. And I said, all right, listen. And some of you guys are more than welcome, because I've told this story before, and you guys are more than welcome to judge me. I said, hey, listen, I'll come over, but all clothes stay on and no kissing. And the reason I set that boundary is because you start kissing in bed and things are going to elevate quick, hard, and fast. And I was just like,
no pun intended,
was waiting for you to say that, man. So we end up coming, I come over and we're cuddling and we're talking, we're chatting, we're laughing, and, it's a super great time. And per usual, she's rubbing my hair, I'm rubbing her hair. Then it's like, then you're rubbing their arm, but then you're rubbing their leg. And then before you know it, and we've had many different terms that you and I have talked about this. And if you guys got your own terms, feel free to say it. There started becoming some aggressive cuddling, was the term. And it's the heat started getting turned up. And then there was a point where I was like, yes. And so I went in for a kiss, and she stopped me. And I was like, oh, you're right. And I was like, you know what? It's time for me to go. And so got up and took off. And that's just a boundary that I set in terms of, for myself, of like, I, want to save myself for marriage. Now, I've had sex and I have wanted to save myself for marriage, and still do. And I've just realized I've tried to set all these different boundaries, one way or the other. And really what it comes down to is like, you just can't be in the same room after dark.
No.
It's like the street lights, when you were a kid, like street lights come on, you got to get home, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm just realizing like, it just really, if it's nighttime, there's just, it's a no.
And everybody has to make their own decision,
right,
of where the line is, and there's a whole chapter in my book. In fact, I recorded the audiobook on this chapter yesterday about the pros and cons of like kind of testing physical chemistry early versus waiting till marriage. And there's a spectrum, right? And everybody has valid reasons for what they choose. But I think it's really important to have that conversation with yourself before you start dating, before you go on these first dates, and set up these boundaries and these lines. I think that's really smart. And I like your analogy too. Another one that came to mind is like, especially if you've already been that far and you haven't been saving yourself. And again, there's no right or wrong, it's just what people choose. But if you've experienced that before and you're in a similar situation, it's like a crack addict getting out of rehab. He goes to a halfway house, but joke's on him. the wall is lined with crack cocaine, and he knows he's in there, and it's all he has to do is like be in that temptation zone and start ripping the walls down. You know, not that I would know. You know, definitely not firsthand.
No big deal, dude.
Yeah, I've actually never done. Now that I said it makes me sound guilty. So, yes, very tempting.
Yep.
Very good to set boundaries, and it's interesting that she stopped you because between the two of you, based off of last episode, the first date, it seemed like she wanted that more than you did. It seems like her boundaries were different, even though she was respecting yours.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's interesting that she stopped you there.
She did, and that was what I'm realizing too. Is like we never had that discussion. We never had that like, hey, are you waiting for marriage? And this is what I want to do together, and be able to and talk about radical transparency. It was like I was living off the like, well, this is fun and fun for you and fun for me, and like, and you know, she is a Christian woman and growing in her faith, and you know, she wants monogamy and she wants those kind of things. And I believe it was more of one, me leading the conversation, and two, just us having that conversation in general, right? And so, you know, I'm really glad that she was like the one, because it snapped me out of it. I was like, oh yeah, no, I should go. But that was a good moment for me in all of this dating. I haven't gotten physical with anybody. She was the first date I have kissed in all of this, right? And so,
but that hadn't happened yet. So, and this is still the first night in Denver that you're both in Denver.
Yep.
Okay.
So Sunday comes, I go to bed, right? Great. Cool off, go to bed. Next morning, I have some work to do. She has some work to do. So then we go get some breakfast, hang out, do
like
work
co-working?
together. Kind of co-work. She's kind
like
of
in the lobby of the hotel.
Yeah. They have like a nice little spot to do work.
Well, that's cool. It's a different change of pace. You're around each other, but you're focused on what you need to do.
Totally.
Which is very healthy, because that's going to happen a lot further down in a relationship. So if you're testing to be like, what would a relationship look like? It's like, okay, can you be around each other but focus on your own things?
100%. And there was no pressure of like, hey, it's first thing in the morning. What are you up to? Do you want to get breakfast? Like, I just went down. She was there. I was there. Hey, hello.
Nice.
She got me a coffee. Like, just really nice, really smooth, really easy. And so we worked throughout the day and end up making some plans for that night. She was like, well, are we going to go out tonight? Yep, I have plans. We go down to Union Square. We end up going to a really nice restaurant to have all this super nice food. Like, I'm treating her like an absolute queen, right? Again, take the Uber Premier down to Union Square. We have this great meal. We chat. We hang out. After, we walk around a little bit. We get on one of the bird scooters, which I highly suggest not doing that.
Those things are more dangerous than a doorless helicopter. You cannot underestimate those things.
I was so terrified being on that thing, because I'm like, okay, like I'm on here, right? I'm running $180, right? You know, she's $120 or $130, whatever she was. Like, we're pushing 300 pounds on this thing, you know, and we're buzzing around.
You can fly, and it just takes one wonky sidewalk bump to send you over the handlebars.
The wheels are that, and so I was taking it really so. Anyways, we go and get some ice cream together, and we're hanging out, and we're holding hands, and you know, it's being a very like, you know, nice night. And then we head back, and we are having a great night. And she goes, well, do you want to come over again for a little cuddle? And I'm like, I shouldn't. But of course, like, I'm like, man, we're having so much fun, so on and so forth. So end up coming over, and we're hanging out, and she actually initiates first and kisses. It kisses me. And so I'm going to leave out all the other details and spare all the other details.
It's very gentlemanly of you.
Yeah. We didn't have sex, but
things escalate.
Yeah, there's some things escalated, and there was eventually like, okay, like, again, time to go.
Yeah.
Which was all great. Get home, go to bed. Next morning, I'm going to go visit one of my clients. And she goes, well, I'll go with you. And it was in Golden, Colorado. And so head out to Golden, we're driving together. There was some confrontation she ran into with her landlord on the phone. And so I watched her actually get elevated, which was a really cool experience of like her dealing with like being escalated and what that felt for her, and like talking through that with her and seeing how she was managing it and how she was talking. She just very mature in the way that she, like, one, was transparent about how this really upregulates her and how this, you know, with her ex-husband and what these kind of things, and just very transparent. And that was a good conversation. And we get to Golden, she drops me off, and I'm with my clients for about an hour and a half. And then she comes back to pick me up. And this is the first part where I start realizing, oh, she was continuing to go up and I had petered. I started plateauing.
Plateau in what way?
What I noticed is when she came back, there wasn't the, like, when I saw her the first time, I was like, it was like when she came back, it was like, oh, there's my ride. Like,
and this had nothing to do with her witnessing her deal with like confrontation and be escalated, because I think that's really something good to show early on, because you're going to see it from someone eventually,
100%.
and you don't need to sugarcoat it or shy away. And like what she did of owning it is a really good thing. Like, all we can do is be like, hey, I'm fired up about this. This is why, and I realize I'm this way, and someone gets to witness that. I think that's really, really healthy. Correct. So it didn't have anything to do with that, like you plateauing.
No.
Do you know where that came from?
You know what's interesting, and I'm gonna answer that, but I'm gonna continue with the story a little bit, because it started unfolding more and more. One, I realized, like, oh man, there wasn't this like jolt, and then two, when we were together and now it's time to go home, I was like, oh, all this excitement is starting to like come down, and there's some reality, and I'm not feeling that, like, that big pull. You know, and there's a lot of things to consider. She has 2 kids. She has an ex-husband. You know, she has a business. I have a business. You know, we both live very fulfilled lives and timelines and so on and so forth. And although it was such a great time that we spent together, there was this point where I was like, man, like, I really need to know that this is a hell yes. And the more we were getting back, the more I was like, oh man. And we both had our own cars, and we were driving to the airport because she had switched her flight to come home with me on Tuesday. And I'm now driving, and I call my brother, and he goes, hey, how's it going? How was the date? How's this? And I would go, she's not the one. And
you just knew.
I just knew, man. And, you know, my brother's just so supportive in that, and was just like, hey, man, when you know, you know. And, you know, same thing. I ended up reaching out to you and talking to you and saying, like, hey, if I know, I know, when do I tell her? Because now we're going to the airport together, and we're about to spend time together. And again, I've felt her go up, and now I kind of petered out, and I was kind of dropping a little bit. And as I'm driving out there, all of a sudden, so it's almost like God was like, think about this more. It started raining so hard I could barely see through, like, the windshield wiper going at 100 miles an hour. I could barely see. And I'm like, golly, what is going on? Return my car, get in the shuttle bus, get to the airport, get to our gate. And we hadn't really been talking. We just knew we were going to see each other there. Get to the gate. They canceled all flights in and out. All flights in and out. Canceled for right now. Canceled. Like, it's basically like flooded out on the tarmac. And so now I'm like, okay, we get to spend more time together. And so now I'm thinking, like,
but you're not like, oh yay, we get to spend more time together. Like, oh, we're gonna be spending a lot more time together.
Well, as I'm feeling that way, and I'm still like regulating, like, that's where I'm starting to kind of get into my head, like, oh, you know, like, okay, like, is God trying to be like, hey, spend a little bit more time and think about this?
Okay, I see.
And so we're spending more time, and it's great. Like, again, she's an incredible woman with such an incredible heart, and so mature, and so many great things. And still spend that additional time, I was like, nothing.
So just solidified that feeling?
It was solidifying it more. Then we get on the plane, and now there's like 15 airplanes deep, right? We're trying to take off. Like, you literally look out the window, it's just like airplane after airplane just lined up to get onto the takeoff. And so now we're sitting for another 45 minutes on the tarmac.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, so 2 hours in the airport, 45 minutes, still a 2-hour flight. So now it's starting to push, and now I'm getting tired. It's like 10:30 at night. It's late, and I'm knowing more and more, and I just feel it like sinking in. And I believe she noticed it too, of it like kind of sinking in. We end up getting off the airplane, and I knew that the thing that I wanted to do, I won't even say the right thing to do, the thing that I wanted to do is be able to tell her then, right to her face, right, in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So we get off, she needs to use the restroom. I say, why don't I hold on to your stuff? And then she's leaving. Of course, my heart rate's going up. I'm getting sweaty, right? And I just immediately start anchoring my breath, start to deep breathing. Just like I teach my clients, when you're in an upregulated situation with anybody, whether it's a fight, whether it's you're about to say something, your breath is what anchors you every time. And so I just start going as deep as breaths as I can. And she comes back and she comes over, and I say, hey, but before we go, there's something I need to say. And she ends up giving me a kiss on the cheek and a big old hug, right?
Just breaks your heart, dude.
Even more. And I tell her, I had such an incredible weekend, and you're such an incredible woman. But there was a feeling I was looking for all weekend long, and I just didn't find it. And I don't think it'd be fair to continue to move forward this way without being able to just let this go. And again, how incredible this woman is. She was like, you could see, I mean, obviously her face changed.
Bummed.
Yeah, super bummed. And it was super hard for me too as well. And, her face drops and she goes, thank you for telling me now instead of waiting. Thank you for coming to Denver. You gave me a lot to think about, and I'm really grateful that we got to spend this time together. And I'm just like, it almost brings tears to my eyes, because I'm like, that's what dating should be. And that's an incredibly amazing, regulated woman. And with everybody out here having these different experiences, don't give up. You set the tone. Both her and I set the tone of what we were going to experience. And, I say thank you, and I go, hey, is it okay if you and I walk together to get downstairs? And she said, that's fine. And of course we're walking and it's dead silence.
Yeah.
Right? And you just feel the heaviness. And as we're going down the escalators, I say, hey, is there anything that you need to process or ask me? I want to give you that space. And she turns around, with kind of some tears welling up in her eyes, and says, no. And which, breaks my heart too, but I wanted to give her the opportunity, if you had any questions or you feel like you need anything for closure, even though this has just been a weekend and so on and so forth, we really did share a lot of our hearts with each other and a lot of these experiences. And she says, no. I says, okay, well, I hope you get home safely. And she says, you too. We give a hug, and she walks her way and I walk my way to go get my bags. And just the deepest sinking feeling of grief, man.
Yeah.
And I have felt that when I've left other relationships, and it wasn't the same type of grief of dating somebody for 2.5 years and having all these memories, but it was this very similar grief. And it took me a while, and it's still taking me a while. I have, 50 plus likes on my Hinge right now, and I'm just
just not feeling it.
Not feeling it.
And for the record, at the time of this recording, how long, and it's rough weeks, has it been since you guys parted ways at the airport?
2.5 weeks.
And you haven't heard from her since, or vice versa?
No.
Which I think is healthy.
Super healthy.
Yeah, you don't want to you need to give someone space.
Yeah.
Because there is grief involved. It's not the death of a maybe official relationship, but it's the death of what could have been. Yeah. And that still stings,
Does.
So I'm proud of you for sharing, as always. You always have the best shares, but it's okay. And I think it's really good for people to hear it's totally okay to not feel it for a few weeks. Like, you don't have to be going on dates every week, whatever. Just like check in with your gut.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and not only that, check in with your gut about when you're in a situation, because
Yeah.
you could have easily rationalized yourself into, oh, well, I want to give it more of a try, or I should do these things in the airport, or 3 more weeks or whatever. But you're always going to return to that gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should ever ignore it. It's okay to sit with it and be like, okay, let me suss this out. Let me look behind, like the why behind the why. Let me break apart the puzzle, build it back again, and make sure the picture is clear.
Right.
But there is something to trust in your gut. And that's something I've, outside the show, just knowing you personally, that I respect a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, unfortunately, men and women are more removed from being able to decipher what's their intuition versus the noise in the modern world, their expectations of their friends, their family, themselves. It's difficult to separate that and parse them out. And so I don't think you can ever steer yourself wrong. I know that sounds cliche. And it's like, what does that mean, Joel Bates? What does it mean to like trust your gut? It's like, it's just one of those things where you know it when you feel it, and you shouldn't second guess it. So you did the right thing. And I'm sorry it was tough. But if you're going to date someone and it's not going to work out, this is the best way it can go.
Yeah.
Nobody's lashing out at each other. No one's making big dramatic fuss. You had beautiful memories. You probably both instilled standards in one another of what you're going to look for going further. And this is that process of like this step ladder to finding the right person, right? You don't take one step and you're at the top of where you want to go. Like each of these dates is, and yeah, you don't, I guess it's different because it's a magical ladder that you don't know when you reach the top, and you just have to trust that each step you go gets you further. But that's such a beautiful experience. And I don't think that we should undersell how tough, but also proper that is.
Yeah.
You know, because like imagine if everyone's story was what you just said,
right?
And this was the standard for modern dating. Like, yeah, people have heavy hearts and maybe they, you know, have some impetuous flights or whatever, but we wouldn't be hearing what we hear now, right? This is 2 people who were intentional and radically transparent and really took the higher road in terms of options. It's not uncommon for men and women to go for somebody's emotional jugular when they get rejected because they feel like a cornered animal who's injured, and then they lash out. And while I understand that, it's not a good standard to have. And so I just want to exemplify this, because people listening or maybe who've been through this will be like, oh, I failed. It's not that. It's not failure at all. It's the gratification of skill progression. And again, that sounds super like clunky and soulless to say, oh, skill progression and gratification, but it's really what it is.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a net benefit to you and to her, even if it's tough. It's probably more important that it was tough. Imagine if it wasn't. What would that say about you and her? It's like, why are you even dating?
Yeah.
It should be tough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I agree.
Tough, but good.
I agree. Yeah. It was, I've had a lot of different people, and probably people are even thinking about it right now. I know Mallory, asked this, like, well, no. What was it? Right. And I'm sure even people listening right now, there's the curiosity, like, no. What was it?
What was the thing?
Yeah. Was it the kids? Was it the
ick, the deal breaker, whatever?
Yeah. Was it was it the first kiss? Was it the dance? Was it like, what was it? And you guys, I totally get this, because I used to live up in my head a lot, and anxiety lives in the future. Depression lives in the past. And your brain's job is to be able to look out for you. And I always thank my brain when it gets to that point of like thinking anxious and so on and so forth, because I'm like, hey man, thank you so much for looking out for me. And I know what the heart wants. And I wasn't going to go down that path. But sure, there was multiple different things. Like, like I had to really consider, she has 2 kids. I had to really consider that. And in the end, all of those kind of things, when you think about it, when you really think about it, we can accept or move through those different situations with different people. Nobody's going to be perfect. And so if I sat in my head checking a list, I would never find it.
Yep.
Right? What I'm trying to find is, my heart is the compass, and it knows the direction that I'm going. And many times I've not followed that compass, and it's got me in a lot of anxiety and in a lot of turmoil and in a lot of trouble because I stayed in relationships I shouldn't have been in. I got in relationships I shouldn't have been in because I didn't want to close the loop. I didn't want to, oh, maybe there's just some additional time. I can work my way through this. And yes, every relationship takes work, but you have to those compasses of the heart has to be pointing in the same direction.
Yeah.
And then you can go do work together. You guys can travel together. And that's something that I realized that a lot of the times when I was in relationships, our compasses weren't aligned.
Yeah.
And we were trying to do work together, but we were getting farther and farther from each other, either farther from ourselves, right, or farther from each other. But both wasn't putting us in the direction that we needed. And so it was a huge moment for me just to be able to go, no, body and heart, I trust you. And then to close the loop live, which is not something that I don't think ever have done. Beyond being in relationships and such.
But like at this phase of dating.
Yeah, this phase of dating. And to be able to do that, it wasn't perfect. And of course I stumbled my words. I felt like I was super nervous and, did I say the right thing? And, all those kind of jazz. In the end, I would much rather done that than, wait a couple days. Sure. She's kind of wondering. She feels that I'm pulling away. She's not feeling. And then I text her and tell her like, oh yeah, this isn't working. It was challenging, but I'm proud of myself for doing that. And now it's recalibrate and go, okay, what's next?
Yeah. I am so impressed and proud, and I don't say that lightly because that's probably one of the hardest things to do, which is why people choose to ghost instead or to delay.
Right.
And I think both of those things are disservice, not only to women or women listening to men, but to yourself, to yourselves. And it seems really hard and it seems wildly uncomfortable.
Yeah. But
I think there's a really powerful reframe as seeing it as short-term pain for long-term respect. Because especially for women, time is valuable. It's valuable to all of us.
Right.
But if you spent time with someone, even one date, you should care about their future, even if it won't be your responsibility.
Yeah.
And by not putting it off, you give her the gift of clarity and you give her the gift of respect. And I don't think that we can, again, undervalue these things in this process. And it's especially when someone's so good and you're trusting your intuition, it's so powerful to trust your body and your intuition. But like you said, every time that you choose to override that, it's to our own peril.
Yeah.
And we can reflect and see that clear as day. But when you're in it, it's hard to decipher, which is almost a catch-22 because the more you think about it, the more it's easy to accidentally override it.
That's right.
So you almost have to catch yourself early. And then you have to take action early because you can continue to stew on it even if you don't realize you are. And so for you to be like, okay, I'm noticing this. I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but I'm going to marinate on it. I'm going to sit with it. And I'm continuing to notice this. Oh, I am going down this path. That's all the confirmation you need to know which way your compass is pointing. Right. And if let's suppose that you choose to white knuckle it instead. What happens? What's the alternative? Yeah. Resentment, wasting time.
That's right.
Unnecessary pain.
That's right.
And don't be so afraid by those three things that you don't take a risk because we'll never be able to say, this is how you do it. It's not a recipe, right? There's this weird hybrid middle ground where you have to interpret everything coming into you and everything that's already into you or inside you. And then you have to make the best decision possible. There's going to be risk.
Yeah, that's right.
But what things in life that are worthwhile don't come with risk? Don't incur something that's frightening.
Yes.
There is nothing like that.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think this is a great example of success, not failure, like I said before, because you chose to not delay. You listened to your intuition when it was tempting not to. Maybe it didn't make sense to.
Yeah.
And you were so respectful with what you were doing, not just from her time, but yours.
Yeah, totally.
It's a big deal. It takes a lot more courage than people think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, and that's again where I feel that people may not fully understand, because this has taken years of practice and exercise and tuning into my body to be like, wait, everything was going good. And then in a short amount of time, I made a decision, I listened to my body, and I took action.
Yeah.
And before, I wouldn't have done that. I would have marinated more. I would have thinking about more. But truly, you guys, when you think about it, if you're listening right now, if you think about it, you knew the moment when you were in or you were out in a relationship. You knew the moment you were in and you were out. Because I've asked people, no, tell me the exact moment when you first started questioning your relationship. And they can go back to almost the exact day, exact time, an exact moment. And it was there. I said, and how'd you feel ever since after that? There was like, dog shit.
You're battling yourself.
Dude.
Yeah. And it should be you and the other person versus the problem, not you versus you and then coming to the other person.
That's right.
That's so exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. And I get why people do it. I've done it. Sure. Did in my last relationship.
Yeah, me too.
You know?
Me too.
And the relationship before that. But the relationship before that with my ex-wife, I did that for 3 years.
Yeah.
The last relationship, I did it for 1.5 years. So now I'm hoping if I continue to downsize, I'm at 0 now.
Yeah, that's right. Your turnaround time's much faster.
But that's a great point, man. That's a great point. And I think for anybody listening, that is something to marinate on.
Yep.
Not even just right now, but anytime you start dating. Again, don't let the fear cause you to pull out. You need to kind of like send it sometimes. You got to take the risk. You got to burn the boats. But I think you'll have this full sense of yes when it's time to do that.
Yes.
You know?
Totally.
And it's not that there won't ever be little questions. There should always be.
That's right.
But it's just that like the full yes kind of outweighs whatever you're over ruminating on.
That's right.
So for next time.
Yep.
Like it's the Wild West. We're wide open. We don't know what's going to happen. Because you don't have any dates lined up.
I had a friend who sent me a picture and a contact of someone who lives in East Texas and says, I really feel like the two of you guys should meet. And so I told her like, hey, listen, I want you to know. So if she asks, and you can tell her, right now, I want to be open and ready to even start talking with her. So it's not that I'm not interested. It's that I want to make sure that the space is cleared, even just to be able to start communicating. So
I love that.
That's one. And then I really need to and want to get into my Hinge account, clear some of the things out, refreshen a few things in terms of some pictures. And also I want to make a few changes in my prompts. And shift things just slightly in my prompts.
Yeah.
I thought about putting the picture of you and I on my
Of like sitting here doing this?
No.
Which one?
The one from this past weekend of us sitting at that gas station.
Oh my God. That was a funny picture.
That's an incredible. There's so much in that picture that I'm like, I really feel like that would make people scratch their head and also get really interested. Like, oh, there's like a vintage, where are you out in front of it? And like the flag behind you and the like two half naked man. And
shirtless in West Texas.
Yeah, in your face and my face.
Yeah, I was kind of like.
Yeah, it was so glad they showed you so good.
That's so fun.
So that's the plan, is to make some shifts on Hinge, clear things out, reach out to that girl and see. And see what comes up. So at this point, I feel like it's a reset. I've really grieved this time with Madison, and I've really prayed about her and really wish her the best, because she's such a really dynamite individual. And, I believe now I'm at this point where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to unhinge this door, and so that's where I'm at.
I think it's really good to illustrate because you're revisiting Hinge in the first 3 episodes. We really spent a lot of time dissecting that and perfecting it, but it's good to show that, hey, you're going to have these seasons and you might be like, actually, I think this would better represent me. Or I think, this has happened. I've evolved. Let me exemplify this in my profile. So it'll be really cool next time to hear what you've done to update it and why, because it's been a while since we revisited your profile. So that's going to be exciting. And then 2, you probably have some inbounds that maybe in the moment you're not ready to look at, but when you are, it'll be interesting to see what diamonds in the rough we might discover. So
That's true.
And the other thing that's illustrated really well is that this isn't like every day's the best day of dating. You know, roller coaster ups and downs. You've had ups, you got a slump, you had another up, then you're experiencing grief. This is all part of the process, you know, and as cliche as it sounds, everyone says all you have to do is not quit. And it's the same thing for Wife or Bust, baby.
Wife or Bust.
Not quitting.
It is. It's in the title.
Yep. Episode 13 coming next time. Episode 12's a wrap.
I'll say wrap it up.